Want to welcome the Worksaholic Army from across the country. I see I have live attendance today from as far away as Seattle and California. Early birds out there, I guess. It's about 7 a.m. where you guys are at. We've also got a lot of residential real estate agents from the eastern side of the country, all up and down the eastern seaboard. So I want to welcome you here. Thank you for being on. And if you're on, paying attention to this in our archive library, this is timely, this is relevant, this is this weekend. This information is coming from this weekend, I promise you. In the text chat below, you will see a landing page that we used to capture just over 600 clicks this weekend. 600 clicks on that landing page resulted in 31 leads. You don't have to believe me, but at 9:30 this morning, I was on with one of those leads, qualifying her, walked through her move from Miami, Florida to Weston, Florida, and got to spend 20 minutes on the phone with her just before this class started. And I can assure you, there are hundreds upon hundreds of consumers that saw this ad this weekend, and 31 of them registered with unique clicks. Today we're going to really dive into social media. How can you generate revenue from social media? Really talking about agent branding, you as an individual. And let's take a walk through some of the things that you can do with technology today that were impossible not too long ago. I went back and counted up the leads. I'm talking about, if you look at the dates on this post, you could see that I'm not messing around. These were from Saturday at 9 a.m. till this morning when I prepared for this class. We added this in, and essentially these were social media posts. This was the exact post. It's easy to qualify, save money when you buy, rent, or rent to own, move by Thanksgiving. And then we had another one that says sell your big house and buy something smaller. It's called our Empty Nester program. You will save thousands. Those two posts both were part of this weekend's click-throughs. And at the end of today's session, I'm going to show you the identical landing page. If you don't have it in your text chat on the bottom because you're attending via archive, we'll put it into the archive library in the toolbox, and so you could see the actual landing page. But we'll show you why consumers click through their Facebook into our landing pages and how they end up as qualified buyers and sellers in our inventory. You know, there's a very complex, ever-changing environment. Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn are the big three, but YouTube is very, very powerful for some of the most productive residential real estate agents in the country. And you've got to decide. You know, you can be the realtor that hires people to do this for you, and maybe that's a good choice. Or you could be the realtor that sits down on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like I do, and investigates and takes classes. And there's free online classes all over the place, and you can really study WordPress and even Camtasia video editing or Final Cut, and you could start to do your own video editing. Or you could even do what some of the top realtors do, which is just do a revised version of a selfie and put your phone on a selfie stick and shoot videos that way. They're still very compelling, very interesting to the viewer if you're articulate. But whether you're doing a blog, whether you're just doing social media posts, whether you're doing social media ads, you have a decision to make whether you're going to become expert at it or stay on the side. There's a very complex and ever-changing environment in social media. We're going to try to give you the reasons why you should take this area of your business so seriously. And then, like I mentioned, at the end of today's session, I'm going to give you a free landing page formula that's responsible for those 600 clicks and 34 registered guests now, because it ran a little bit longer today. You've got an opportunity to mimic or copy what we're doing. 90% of homeowners, home buyers search the internet during their buying process. I think that number's up. That's an old statistic. I think it's something like 94, 95%. Nearly 75% of the people buying or selling their home are active on social media during that process. Hey, honey, we're thinking about listing our house. They happen to be on Facebook that same day. Get it? Hey, honey, I'm thinking about moving from Miami to Weston, like that lady I was on the phone with for 20 minutes just before this class. She was active on social media while she was thinking about that process. You don't have to be a genius to figure out why Zuckerberg's the man of the year and how Facebook is changing your business world. If the average adult spends 40 minutes a day on Facebook, it's a 35, 45, 50-year-old person who's making a living out in the field, owns a home, paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month in rent sometimes. They're spending 40 minutes a day on Facebook. Twitter's a big part of what you need to be doing. And if you're like most agents, this whole tornado is a little bit confusing. We're going to break it down to 4 parts today: consistency, content, convenience, and connection. And hopefully that'll clarify for you how you need to act in your social media marketing as a residential real estate. But the end of today's session, and I don't think we're going to go over about 40 minutes, but if we do, I apologize. At the end, I'm going to give you 2 things that you've got to do. You don't have to pay me for it, okay? I work for Annie Mac Home Mortgage, and the Annie Mac Works program nationally sponsors everything we do. So there's no shoe that's going to drop here today. You don't have to buy anything, but if you want to play with the big boys, you're going to have to take action at the end. And there's 2 things that we're going to tell you you must do. Consistency. How many of you have started with a New Year's resolution to lose weight, get more fit, save more money, whatever, and then by the end of January that kind of fades away? Well, that's a lot of what it's like for social media for realtors. They say, okay, this time I'm really going to do it, and they don't remain consistent with it. Consistency looks like this. There's opportunities for eyeballs all day in social media, but if you're Joe Realtor in the blue, the very, very least you should do, Joe Realtor, is post once a day at 3 p.m. And I'll show you why in just a minute. If you're wanting to be a little bit of a better realtor, top realtors post at 9:30, 3, and 5:15. If you're posting 3 times a day, some content that's relevant, you can become a very popular social media marketing realtor. Consistency, though, for a social media boss, and I know 24 people across the country that make over $1 million a year selling real estate. With the same license you've got, they're making $120,000 a month. Okay? These are social media bosses. And a social media boss would post 9:30, 12, 3, 5, and 7. Okay? So just seeing good, better, best at the bottom should put into perspective what we mean by your New Year's resolution fading or not fading, okay? If you're not posting once a day at 3 p.m., you're not even in the game, okay? If you're posting 3 times a day, 9:30, 3, and 5, you're getting there. And if you're posting 5 times a day, 9:30, 12, noon, 3, 5, and 7, you're starting to show up as a social media player in residential real estate, okay? The reason for these times is a study of when conversations are happening most on Facebook, and the Twitter grid is almost identical. It has something to do with the work flow of a work day, and it has something to do with the average American consumer and how they spend time on social media. But you can see that it starts to peak in the morning, really kicks up at that 3 p.m. peak, and then it starts to fade off after 7 o'clock. And that's why those times on this page before are recommended for eyeballs to see your posts. If you're let's say you're an early bird, you get up and post at 5 a.m. Guess what? That post is going to be at the bottom of the list by the time anyone gets there at 9. They're not even going to see it. So it's important that you follow these timelines and make your posts when people are seeing them. You could tell if someone's active on social media by the number of people they follow. Are you personally liking and following large groups of people? The GRI designees in your marketplace, the Mike Ferry coached realtors in your marketplace. Are you actively liking and following the other top realtors in your community? Are you actively liking and following homeowners that you know and families that you're friends and families with? Are you following them? The frequency and popularity of your posts tells us a lot about who you are in social media. So if I were hiring a residential realtor and they didn't have that many follows or likes, and they didn't have that many, and I think that's a great question, but I'll show you some content that we'll be getting in, and at the end we're going to show you some ads that we run as well. The content and the ads is the question that he had, but the frequency and popularity of the posts is important, and the number of people, businesses, and groups that follow you is really the defining characteristic on whether you're doing a good job on social media. You don't have to be judged by anybody. You can follow these 3 barometers, and you know whether or not you're doing a good job on social media. And if you're posting, well, we're going to get into content in just a couple minutes. In fact, that's the next topic. So the first topic was consistency. And some of you are online right now saying, wow, Fitz, I'm not posting 7 times a day on social media. I'm not posting 5 times a day on social media. My constituency would get sick of me. Well, that could be true if you're an average realtor with average realtor skills and you're average about what you want to post, because you're going to be doing what I see realtors do every day, and it irks me. It sends me to the moon when I see the garbage that realtors post. They post listings, but they don't include the price. They post listings, but they don't include the square footage. They post listings, but they put 2 pictures and they're crummy pictures, and they say just listed, but they don't say the price, the city, the neighborhood, the schools. They don't tell you anything about the house. They don't have a virtual tour attached to the house. They don't have anything of any quality or relevance about that house. In fact, most of the time, I'll see a house that I like, that I'll actually be intrigued by, but it doesn't even say it's in Mecklenburg, Tennessee. It doesn't even say where it is. They don't realize that social media is a global audience, and you have to include all of the information. There's some general concept rules that we laid out on this page. When you say things like, I need referrals, or, I can put you in this house, they see things like you're desperate or you seem, needy. I think one of the key ingredients in quality social posting is guru status. You want to look like you are the guru, that you have all the listings all the time, you have all the information all the time, you're the expert. And someone who does a fantastic job of that is down in Tampa, Florida. He's $1 million a year earner. His name is Vince Arcuri, Arcuri, Vince Arcuri. If you look at his social media post, he is the definition of what we call guru status in residential real estate. Now, if you post, hey, I just listed this house, and you don't include valid information about the property, you're making a mistake. Consumers on social media want information. You know as an individual that you will read and dig and click when something is informative, when it's thorough, when it explains the whole thing, not a part of it. You know, you don't just need to tell me that taupe is the new color. That doesn't do me any good. Explaining how color palettes work in decorating or in staging properties for sale, and then getting detailed and informative about it, is what's going to make your posts more relevant. Including information about the market that is interesting to me as a consumer. Don't just tell me that housing prices are up 5.5% this year. Tell me why. Tell me what happened. Explain to me how that occurred, and how inventory was lower, and that next year interest rates are going to go up and inventory might be larger, and this might be a better time to sell if you're thinking about making a move. And say the whole story. Don't sell yourself short by including just a snippet. Give them the whole picture, and I think you'll see that in some of our posts coming up that I'm going to be able to show you. And guys, you don't have to be the sage on the stage. You can go and get this information and repost it. It's just as valuable if you find an RSS feed, or you monitor other posts and then repost them. It's still valuable information, but it's coming from you in your social media. Take charge of being entertaining. Be the guru that entertains your audience. Show them what a $12 million home looks like in great detail. Show them what somebody's doing with their garden, or better still, get regional in your news on the posts. What happened with the local football team? What happened with the little league team that went to the World Series? What happened with the soccer league that's doing tryouts this coming week? Tell your followers that you are active in the community and you know about what's going on with the city. Some city vote that's going down. In fact, I was very active this year with the Uber controversy in Broward County. And those posts got exceedingly high click-throughs and comments on that social commentary. Now, I'm a real estate broker, and I don't have anything to do with Uber. But when you are a guru in your marketplace, when you are a leader, you're a leadership personality, you have that mindset, people are gravitating towards you as the expert. So don't be afraid to tip your toe into regional news and information. Now, be very, very careful. If you're an ultra right-wing conservative, don't post that stuff. If you're an ultra left-wing liberal, don't post that stuff. If you're a fan of a particular political view, I would be cautious of those. And I see a lot of that on social media. I also see a lot of political commentary, religious commentary, war commentary. I would advise you, as a neutral third party, to stay away from that in your social media, because it's not going to serve a wider audience. You may have a niche of people that appeals to, but your job is not to be a niche service provider. Your job is to be a global service provider. And I'm going to show you towards the end of today how changing one photo can dramatically affect the popularity of your post. And you will need to tinker with different types of photos on your posts to understand what appeals to people. But I bet you this, when you see this thing at the end, you're going to say, Fitz tried 80 different photographs with the same ad, ran it all week, and then got to see which of the photos that were posted got the most clicks. Would you believe that one photograph got 550, where about 60 other posts got none? Just because the photograph changed, the words didn't change, the language didn't change, nothing in the post changed except the photograph, and it was able to achieve 550 clicks comparative to the same ad with a different photograph getting 0. You think I'm full of baloney? Oh, yeah, it's true. So being very hypersensitive about the content that you put in, being convenient for you, being convenient for your constituency or the followers that you have on Facebook. One of my favorite terms in 2015, moving here to 2016, is hyper-local. Getting hyper-local, okay? And we're going to talk about hyper-local at length on Farming Fridays, because there's nothing more hyper-local than a farm area. So when Chip Isabella hosts Farming Fridays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. every Friday for 7 or 9 weeks in a row, there's a big part of what Chip does in his geographic farming strategy about hyper-local. And I'm going to give you one example before I move on. I farmed 2,000 homes in Coral Springs, Florida for about a decade. And I did a consistent $2 or $3 million a year out of that farm area. So it was good for between $60,000 and $90,000 a year in commission dollars for me. But what I would do is I would go to the local restaurants, movie theaters. I would go to the local veterinarian's office or pet groomer, and I would get coupons that were only good for my audience. 2 for 1 on Thursday night for Wyndham Lakes homeowners only. Hyper-local means the soccer tryouts for your kids is this Saturday. Hyper-local means Russ Fitzpatrick with XYZ Realty just got this buy one, get one free offer at the pet groomers. So you bring your pet there once for $60 and then the next one's free or something like that. And I'm being hypothetical, but we had coupons and or appreciation nights for Wyndham Lakes homeowners at these restaurants, at these local establishments, and that hyper-local flavor is what increased our private group on Facebook. And Chip does a fantastic job of that in his Farming Fridays class that you can attend every Friday. But ultimately, this hyper-local flavor can't work unless you start to get convenient about the way you post. When I started out this morning on this particular course, we said posting 5 times a day is what a top realtor does. And then we even told you the times of it. Well, how the heck are you going to be sitting in front of a computer at 9, noon, 3, 5, and 7? You're not going to be. That's ridiculous. So you have to set up a Hootsuite account. A Hootsuite account is free. And what it does is it allows you to schedule posts in advance. And you can post all the way into, like we're posted all the way through October, for example. And all of our social media posts and platforms are already set up in advance. So you don't have to be sitting there. You can organize all of your, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, you can manage it all yourself. It's not difficult at all. In fact, it's just a click of a button to start a post and then put in whatever photograph you're going to add there. But when you have a Hootsuite account, you can manage and see what's popular and what's not. And some of you could be saying right now, Fitz, I'm a realtor, for goodness sakes. I'm out showing property. I'm out taking listings. I'm out, negotiating contracts and dealing with inspectors and appraisers. I don't have time for all this social media garbage. Well, in my humble opinion, it's very difficult to sustain a 6-figure income in residential real estate. $100,000 plus doesn't happen by itself. So 94% of realtors in North America make less than $100,000 a year because they're not doing social media marketing. They're not doing consistent leadership, local, hyper-local, and regional marketing of themselves as the guru expert. So if I were hiring you as a residential real estate agent to come to work for my brokerage, I would insist that a couple hours a week, 9 to 11 on Mondays, was spent on Hootsuite. And that you spent those 2 hours once a week, time blocked out, 2 solid hours, where you got to control your social media posts. What you would find with time blocking those 2 hours is that you would get a hold of your social media all the way into October. You'd be ahead of the game, because if you do 2 hours a week for 10 weeks in a row, then you've become an expert at it and you're able to post very, very efficiently. It's really an easy piece of equipment, Hootsuite is, because you simply start to type and it'll tell you when you've exhausted the number of characters that you can put into a particular vehicle. Like Twitter only allows a certain amount of characters, but Facebook you can go on and on and on. So it'll tell you when you've reached the end for that particular medium. It gives us a list of the people that we follow on social media, and it gives us a list of the people that follow us. And then we can see who's more popular so that we know if we want to send an instant message to that person, or if I tag that individual in a particular post, I know that all of his or her audience is going to see it as well. So these become important. Now, the best thing about Hootsuite and the best thing about social media is that it can be time blocked, and that you don't have to be sitting at your computer to make every post. You can actually still get up at 5 in the morning if that's what you do. You can still be a night owl and be tooling around at midnight if that's what you do. But you can schedule your posts to be at those opportune windows of time that we spoke about earlier. Now, when I think about content and I think about convenience, I also think about the quality of the actual posts. And I went off on a little soapbox earlier about these garbage posts that realtors do when they don't include price, they don't include finance information, they don't include schools information. So we put together the MyWorks Suite piece of equipment for you, and it's absolutely free. Annie Mac Home Mortgage pays for the entire thing. You do not have to lift a finger or slide a credit card or write a check. We give you the single property websites. We give you the smart lead capture technology that you can use on sign writers. We give you the easy virtual tour creator, and we give you the online classifieds and Craigslist loaders so you can load those flyers and print flyers to your social media. And we also give you the social media sharing tools. They're all free inside of MyWorks Suite. Take a second. The answer to that is no, Belinda. You do not need a separate Hootsuite account for your personal or business page, but we're going to end on business pages in this conversation, because I believe that each realtor that is online today must have a Facebook business page. It is not good enough to just have a Facebook personal page. But Hootsuite would allow you to post to your Facebook business page and your Facebook personal page from one Hootsuite account. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize, but I'm 99% sure you can set it up to post to both. I know I'm 99% sure that's how we have ours set up. But the Facebook app in MyWorks Suite is meant to automate your listings in a high quality post. It's meant to give you a complete post. Rather than 2 pictures and a sentence, it actually says, hey, we just listed this house in Cherry Hill, and the whole single property website's there. So it has financing, it has price, it has schools, it has a map, it has everything. It's not a sophomoric kind of infantile post. It's a complete professional Fortune 500 post. That's the value of MyWorks Suite. MyWorks Suite's not necessarily going to get you more leads through that post, but it's certainly going to make you look more professional and a higher level of quality to your content. We talked about YouTube. You know, you can do the instant selfie on a selfie stick and film yourself talking if you're real compelling and you're articulate and professional, you could probably get away with that. But one thing that we know gets high click-throughs are virtual tours. So now you have the ability through My Work Suite to in 5 minutes or less, load all the photographs, have a music over, have it pan the photographs, and have some titles in it, and have a call to action to your phone number at the end. And that's a pretty nice post for social media. Now, we talk about the social media effect, and we used examples like when I post to Vince Arcuri's page, for example, or I tag Vince Arcuri in a post, I'm certain that it's going to be viewed by another 2,000 people that are part of his audience. Whereas if I post to Shelly, who has 16 followers, it's not going to get as much traffic. So the social media effect is all about leveraging other people and their networks as well. I told you I was going to end on two things that were the must-dos, and Belinda brought up one of them in the text chat below. You have to have a business page on Facebook. You cannot just have a personal page on Facebook and on Twitter. And the reason for that is you can now embed listing searches onto business pages in Facebook. You can now automate My Work Suite to post to your Facebook business page. That means you don't have to do it. Whenever you make a price change to one of your listings, whenever you make a edit to one of your listings, whenever you change a photograph on one of your listings, it'll automatically populate that to your Facebook business page. And MLS searches can be put on your Facebook business page. That is a very powerful piece of equipment that most people don't know. You can embed your search IDX feed right into your Facebook business page, but you cannot do that on a personal page. So imagine if you had an audience of a couple thousand people of your local market that trusted you as their local real estate expert, and they could go on your Facebook business page and they could search your listings, and they could search the entire MLS on your Facebook business page. That's a powerful click-through for you, and it's just one of the many things that Facebook business pages can do that you can't do on a personal page. So the one leave behind on today is you got to go set up your Facebook business page, and I would put your MLS searches on it. Now, I told you I would end on something that we did this weekend. Saturday and Sunday, for those of you who are on an archive, this originally broadcast Monday morning at 10 a.m. and again at 2. The previous 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, we took in 34 registered inquiries, and I'll bet you if I open my phone, I'd have a couple more from this morning. But the way that we got a bunch of them was through this landing page. And the reason I'm going to end the class on landing pages is because it's important that you understand that there's a science behind social media marketing. There is an actual try, fail, and adjust kind of tweaking that goes on in social media. So for example, 2 weeks ago, a realtor posted one thing on social media. She got 91 registered inquiries in one day. 91. But then the next day, another realtor posted something very, very similar and got 0 registered users using the exact same technology and the exact same single property website technology. Now, that's called an anomaly. That means that there was something in the audience or the post on the one person that hit a nerve, and there was something that wasn't on. And I'm going to show you how simple little changes can affect that. But as I show you this individual landing page, I want you to see there's elements to it that are important to increase the number of clicks. The first thing is that there's a lot of white space around the premise at the top. So I was looking for people who paid more than $2,000 a month in rent and that were interested in owning a home at the end of their existing lease. So we put down there in the testimonial, gosh, I had a bankruptcy. I had a short sale a few years ago because a lot of the tenants did, and I was able to buy a house anyway. And then the on the right hand side, and we tried to get the call to action to be simple because we said something like, hey, we can tell if you can qualify for a purchase in just about 5 minutes, which we can. And it's just 5 quick qualifying questions. Well, what this did for me is it prefaced our initial contact that we were going to be rolling through 5 qualifying questions with the consumer before we talked about whether they could buy or not. So out of the 34 registered users that we ended up with, let's say 8 of them qualified. Well, that is magical numbers for Fitzy because I was only paying 20 cents a click. So 20 cents a click is pretty cheap. So now look at the drop-down menu on the right-hand side of this landing page and watch and see if you agree. This is what we do in social media, guys, so hopefully this is relevant. These are going to be really, really interesting, exciting, or boring as heck, but I'm telling you, this works. So when you see the Please Choose menu on the right-hand side, look what I do with the consumer. I require them to pick one of 5 levels of interest when they register. They want to buy right away. They know their credit's shot, so they want to rent to own. Or they don't know anything, or they already know they can't, so they want to rent only. And they want to make future plans for maybe 6 months from now. Now, I, as a real estate professional, can decide how I want to proceed with each of those leads based on their indication of where they were in the buying process. But everything about this landing page points them to tell us where they're at in the decision-making process. And that is vital because I set the calls up ahead of time that we're going to be going through 5 qualifying questions to see what you can qualify for, and we're going to go through then we'll send you a list of the homes that you do qualify for, then we'll go out and see them when you're ready. Now this is making our realtors that work for us very, very wealthy. They are able to convert these leads, and there's a testimonial from one consumer that had spent $108,000 in rent over the last 3 years. And that is a fact. That's a $3,500 a month tenant that was spending $3,500 a month to rent a house. And now she got to own a home because her short sale had seasoned and her credit had repaired, and she qualified for a mortgage. So we end this landing page on Stop Making Your Landlord Rich. Hundreds of homes available to you. Most people are surprised when they see how many properties are available. And save money. Almost every client we work with saves money when they buy instead of rent, and build a future. Some people don't know that home ownership and home equity is the #1 wealth builder in the United States. Why rent when you can own is the final call to action. And Kathy from Maryland just asked if we have landing pages for sellers, and we absolutely do. I just ran, and I'm going to, well, I think it's in here. Let me show you. Oh, look at that, Kathy, right on time. I don't know if you can read the small print, but the one on the left is, it's easy to qualify, save money when you buy, rent, or rent to own. Move by Thanksgiving. Now, I ran that Saturday and Sunday this week. That's where we got 600 clicks, and we got about 34 registered end users. In the small print on the bottom, you can see the clicks, and you could see the up-to-date from last night when I did it. We got more overnight. But these are real-world, real-time click-throughs. Now, look at the second picture. Same house, because we found out that house drew the most inquiries. I don't know if it's the little red wreath on the garage or not, but something did it. And it says, sell your big house and buy something smaller. You will save thousands. Empty nester savings. And then there's a landing page that speaks to empty nesters. We did another one called Sell Your Home and Upgrade to a Larger Property for it was a reference to the fact that the affordability is low, interest rates are low, buy now before interest rates go up, and move before interest rates go up. So we do run seller landing pages and buyer landing pages. The empty nester example on the top right is one example of them, and I can share the actual landing pages with you. Drilling down into this minutia, this small print might be boring for you, but it is truly the artistic and scientific side of social media. It is where you get to play. It is where you get to learn. It is where you do not judge Facebook. Facebook judges you. There are 250 million people, and 1 million of them are going to buy and sell a house in the next, XYZ, but you either appeal to them or you don't appeal to them. So don't ever judge. It's not that the single property website technology stinks. It's what you're posting in your single property website technology. So you've got to hold yourself accountable to this mathematics. In other words, be 100% responsible to understand what's working and what's not working and why. Don't just say, oh, this is bad or this is good. It's not that black and white. And I'm going to show you these numbers may be meaningless to you, but the reason that they're here on this screen is to show you that this is yesterday and day before yesterday math. Okay, this is actually real world what we do every single day, and that's my inbox of unbounced notifications from my landing page, and you could see many of them come from Stop Renting Now, and some of them came from the empty nester piece of equipment. Now this is what I wanted to kind of end on here, because I want to challenge you a little bit. I want you to get mad. I want you to say, no, I can do this myself. I don't need to hire somebody to do this. Look at how many different photographs down the left-hand side we tried with the exact same ad content. And like I said, there is a science and an art to this that you have to figure out. Look at what we did. We tried all of those different ads up the left-hand side of your screen, and about halfway up your screen, just before that page break, there's one that got, I think, 600 clicks there, right? 16,000 views and 600 clicks. The only thing we changed was the photographs. As you went up that page, you saw limited activity. So I get a guy from Jersey calls me last week and says, one realtor got 90 clicks and the other realtor got none. This system stinks. Oh, wait. I just ran $150 worth of ads over the weekend, and 16 of them got no clicks, and one got 500. So can you see how the art and the science of what is in the ad and who the audience that's seeing it is where your personal responsibility has to fall? Not on the technology working or not working. The technology works fine. It's just whether or not you put the right content into the technology. So on Wednesday, part 2 of social media marketing just for realtors, my partner Carrie Krumenacker is going to go through my work suite, specifically what, how, when, and why you can use those technologies to post in your social media and begin to brand yourself as the expert in your marketplace. That is Wednesdays, part 2. If you're watching via archive, you can slide right into part 2 right now on your screen. If you're coming to us live, we're going to broadcast again at 2 p.m. this afternoon, this same class. And then on Wednesday, we do 10 and 2 as well, social media marketing just for realtors. We certainly appreciate your time and attention. I hope that you'll lock arms with your loan officer. I hope you'll sit elbow to elbow with your loan officer. Maybe make a project out of social media together with your MyWorks Suite account. Maybe you could time block 2 hours once a week to post onto your social media through your Hootsuite account. If you'll take social media seriously and work it, I bet you that we'd high five around Christmas time or the new year, and you'd be saying, wow, I can't believe how many consumers I got and how many listings I took and how many buyers I've closed because of social media marketing in 2015 and 16. So thanks a lot for your time. It was probably a lot of information packed into a little bit of time, but come back on Wednesday. She's going to break down the how-tos a little bit more.